Am I excited for StarField? I'm skeptical. I am, but I'm also skeptical. And I have a video of a guy that is talking about that. You want to watch that first before we start talking about Star Citizen again? All right. So, talking about StarField, let's watch a video by Jack Sutter. I don't know. Jack Sutter. Satter? Maybe? I don't know. The video is called the StarField Skeptic.
I've been a diehard Bethesda fan for a very long time, and boy, am I excited for StarField. Kind of. I've dumped thousands of hours into the worlds of Elder Scrolls and the Fallout games, and my faith in them as a developer has pretty much been unwavering until the fateful Fallout 76. That and being resold Skyrim for the 14th damn time. Like, it's been 10 years. Just make the next game already. I remember seeing StarField for the first time at E3 2018, an absolutely legendary presentation where I got way too excited for multiplayer Fallout 76. And then I saw StarField and I was like, I don't know what that was, but it looks pretty awesome. And then, as if our bread wasn't buttered enough, Todd drops the freaking Elder Scrolls 6 teaser trailer. And
I mean, it looks okay. But knowing the history, yeah, I was excited. You can search for my like first video on StarField, like when it got announced. I think the video is called like Hurston, We Have a Problem, because yeah, I was super fucking excited. But then I like thought about it a bit more, and then I realized, yeah, it's Bethesda. So, well, Derek was smart about StarField. Was he right about StarField? So, anyway, let's...
Crowd goes wild! And my God, Todd
continue.
just knows how to get the people going, huh? I know he has his critics, but this guy really knows how to rev my gamer brain engine. Skip to a few years later, in 2021, when my gamer heart, and I'm sure many of yours, had been dragged through the mud and the muck of mediocrity and overhyped, broken-ass video games. Our hearts were much more reluctant to get excited.
I just watched a video, Larry. I just watched a video a couple of days ago with like all the new bugs in Fallout 76 and how it's still bad. But still, dude, it's been how many years? And if it's like good now, it doesn't really matter.
Excited about new video games. No longer the hearts that just pre-order.
Yeah, this monitor is like one of the
even for
Samsung like G9 or whatever. They're pretty good, but like it's just like having 3 normal monitors. I don't get the point of having this.
GameStop
this
and Taco
big
Bell's
monitor,
exclusive
honestly.
cosmetic items. That year, the official teaser trailer for StarField dropped, and I don't know about you, but I wasn't excited. I'm not saying it looked horrible. It just
it's good
didn't
now.
faze
Okay,
me.
I
There
just
wasn't
watched the
much to
video
go
like
off of
2 days
besides
ago.
a pretty inaccurate release date. They show a small bunker/outpost like one you'd see in Fallout, with a robot roaming around like one you'd see in Fallout, and then your character getting into a spaceship with the graphics of, you guessed it, Skyrim. Still. And then last year, in 2022, a 15-minute gameplay reveal dropped, and I went from unfazed to borderline uninterested. This was bad gameplay to show off. Sure, they had a good start with Todd Howard and his brown leather drip, but as soon as the gameplay started, it looked almost identical to Fallout gameplay we'd seen 8 years prior. It literally looks like you're leaving a Fallout shelter into an irradiated wasteland. I know it's supposed to be an alien planet, but it's like...
Like lighting is better, textures are better, but it's on the same engine, so
a Fallout shelter into an irradiated wasteland. I know it's supposed to be an alien planet, but it's like, it just looks like
No, I'm not shitting on the monitor. The monitor is fucking great. I have a couple of people that I know that have this monitor, but honestly, I have an ultra wide, and I think this thing is too fucking big. And if you're recording videos like in this format, nobody's gonna watch that. So yeah, I don't see the point in having this big of a monitor. Especially like nowadays, I currently have 4 monitors right next to me, like main one, left, right, and one over here. So yeah, it's better to have like different monitors for like if you're streaming for chat and all of that, but yeah.
Apocalyptic America again. A lot of textures looked blurry and unrendered. Pop-in was happening feet away from your character. The scanning and mining looked virtually the same as No Man's Sky. Bugs were moving around like all Bethesda creatures, pardon the pun, but buggy as hell. And what in the frame rate is going on? It's like running like 20 frames, maybe max? How did this get approved? The guns didn't look like they had any effect on human beings. The gunplay
the gunplay was the most troubling part. for me at least, in the first trailer or whatever, like gameplay trailer that we saw. I just didn't like it, and I also don't like the hit points and all of that. It's just
exactly
like
like
a bit too
Fallout 4,
arcadey
pretty
for
rough.
me.
I mean, look at these shotgun shots. And these new laser bullets looked like they'd feel like shooting an empty Nerf gun. I remember at this point in the trailer, I was visually perturbed. I was angry. Fortunately, the rest of the trailer is pretty alright. The spaceship customization looked intricate, the space combat looked intense, living inside your spaceship
cool,
like it's your home was super intriguing, the gear looked cool, and there was plenty of montages of exploring that genuinely looked interesting. But it was a hard recovery from what was initially shown in the trailer. Then, just recently in 2023, we got a brand new trailer along with a 45-minute long presentation called the StarField Direct. And I'll have it linked below in case you want to watch it for yourself and form your own opinions. I'm also not necessarily going to go in order here, but I think the StarField Direct is a great jumping off point for talking about what I'm excited about in StarField and also what I'm concerned about. The Direct had another great start, Todd up front, no leather this time, but some cool bracelets and the same amount of points put into charisma. And this time, Bethesda's production level was through the roof. Everything was so clean and vibrantly white. Like, I thought Microsoft bought Bethesda, not Apple. If you didn't get that,
It's like a commercial for like a detergent. Honestly.
I thought Microsoft bought Bethesda, not Apple. If you didn't get that, that's just, hey, that's just inside baseball. You don't need to get that one. I also think it's funny that it's coming from Bethesda, like the cleanest looking production
same,
from the
Archer,
studio
same.
that brought you some of the jankiest games. And before we get into the weeds of StarField, I hope I haven't come off too pessimistic or cynical so far. I gotta say up front, I am a Bethesda fan through and through. I think they've got a great, passionate team, no matter how cornball some of them seem, and I really am hoping for the best for them. Like, I loved Fallout 4, even though I know a lot of people didn't, and I'm probably gonna love StarField. This is a very ambitious, big game that makes a lot of big promises, and there's plenty of good things to be said, especially with this more longer, transparent look into the game. I can tell the game is really leveled up even in just the past year, but with what I've seen so far, I can already get a sense of where I might be let down. Basically, I'm cautiously excited. The Direct starts with something that I think is personally very funny. Did you notice when they show off their games, they pan through all their games and stop right before 76 gets into frame?
Yeah.
They're like, nope, we don't need to go that far. Don't bring it up. Right out the gate, Todd brings up one of the most exciting and also concerning points of the game, which I'm sure most of you know what I'm referring to, which is...
It's not just one world. It's over 1,000 worlds.
And you know, I understand the hype he's trying to build around this statement. Near unlimited exploration, every player will have a different experience of the game. But saying there's unlimited possibilities for all of these worlds is a bit of a half-truth. It sounds like most of these planets, these quiet ones, are gonna have like 3 possibilities. Land on it, walk around on it, mine it, or leave. Because the planets in the game are gonna be majority procedurally generated. Now, no one...
These are my thoughts. Like, exactly. I was talking about this 2 days ago during a stream. I said, like, yeah, most of the planets are probably just going to be barren wastelands where you go to, like, resource mine and all of that. Anyway, I hope that StarField will finally kick Roberts to fix that scam citizen. Nah, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's a completely different game. It's single player.
No one's discounting how awesome procedural generation technology has come from Minecraft to Valheim to No Man's Sky, but it is a bit of a dangerous technology to play with, where your game can look impressive in a lot of different ways, but remain surface level. It's like CGI in movies.
Yeah.
Like, if you abuse it, the viewer is gonna catch on. The gamer will recognize the game loop underneath. Nothing beats the practical, just like nothing beats the handcrafted video game experience. There's a perfect example between 2 space game extremes, which I'm sure I'm not the first person to make this comparison, but No Man's Sky and The Outer Wilds. No Man's Sky is an entirely procedurally generated universe with 18 quintillion planets, and The Outer Wilds is one handcrafted solar system with I think 7.
Now they're very different games, but the emotional, insightful, impactful moments that I experienced in Outer Wilds drastically outnumbers the ones I had in No Man's Sky. Like, I like No Man's Sky. I think it's had a remarkable comeback. I've come back to the game multiple times.
Not gonna lie, I streamed No Man's Sky once. I played it once during a stream. And I felt exactly like this immediately. It didn't take me a while to understand how the game works and all of that. It didn't take me a long time, is what I'm trying to say.
Times. It's not exactly my cup of tea. And it didn't make me rethink my entire life and emotionally scar me the way Outer Wilds did. Only around 10% of the planets in StarField are gonna have life on it, which they have a reasonable explanation for. They're skewing towards a more realistic space exploration approach, besides the whole grav drive thing. Life is really only found in this Goldilocks zone, whereas most planets fail to meet the criteria in order to breed life.
Now, of course, it's not all procedurally generated. They still have cities and stuff. In the direct, they kind of explain how planets are going to avoid being these procedurally generated, boring wastelands, but it's explained by the guy who only kind of speaks English.
We generate the planet itself as a procedural content, but the handcrafted content itself comes as the player explores. Our system builds a planet as the player approaches it. We stitch together a block of terrain.
I think I get what he's getting at. They don't really touch on this, but there's a cutscene / possible loading screen that happens when you land on a planet. Unfortunately, it's not like No Man's Sky where you can just fly into the atmosphere and fly above the surface. So I imagine during that cutscene, and I'm sure a little bit before and after, the game generates in points of interest like caves, bases, and random encounters that happen near you. I say near you because from what I understand, you don't have land or plane vehicles in the game. In a game about exploring life-size entire planets. I mean, don't get me wrong,
That's the weirdest part about it. I mean, now that I understand how the procedural generation is going to work, just like in Minecraft, I thought, like, when I heard procedurally generated, I thought first, like, before we knew that we can't fly or drive around the planets, I thought that it's just going to be like, I don't know, 4 by 4 kilometers. Right? A map, or 10 by 10, it doesn't matter, for every planet. Then they said procedurally generated in the manner of like just having the whole fucking planet, and you guys told me that a couple of days ago. And I thought, okay, so the whole planet is just like in Star Citizen, procedurally generated, and they're completely generated, right? Like complete. But no, it's just like in Minecraft. So you can't have anything that, like, you can't fly. If you ever flew fast in Minecraft in like creative mode, you would see like chunks loading in because your PC or whatever is too slow to load in the whole chunks or territories or whatever you want to call them in front of you. Like, it's going to be the same with StarField if you had ships that you can fly around planets, because the planets are not complete.
Actually used a horse in Skyrim when you can sprint faster than it, but Skyrim's a lot smaller than planet Earth. Quick side note, I could bet you $500 they're gonna add vehicles in the game in some future free update or DLC. So yeah, if you want to go from the east side of the planet to the west side of the planet, you're gonna get in your ship, cutscene fly out, fly around the planet, and then cutscene fly back in. I could be wrong. You're definitely going to be able to run from the east side of the planet to the west side of the planet. It's probably gonna take an insane amount of time.
Forever.
But I wonder at some point, is it gonna feel like you're just in a video game's out of bounds area, where you're just boost packing across endless tundra? Or does it function more like No Man's Sky, where as far as you go, the game continues to generate points of interest in front of you? I don't know. This is where my faith in...
And again, we can't trust anything that Todd Howard says.
Bethesda kind of kicks in.
That's just how it is.
There's no way they would just make it a barren wasteland for miles and miles with nothing fun going on. And I hope I don't have to cut back to this clip in a future video about StarField, where it's in black and white and has a ton of reverb on it. Now, something I'm much more sure about in StarField is their art style in this game kicks ass.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
pretty
love
good.
the aesthetic they're going for.
It's really good.
NASA, punk, lo-fi.
The music is also amazing.
Approach. I grew up watching movies like The Right Stuff and Apollo 13 and Young Frankenstein.
Damn your eyes!
Wait, what? Was Tom Hanks in Apollo 13? Holy
13
shit.
and Young Frankenstein.
Damn your eyes! Too late.
But that's not really part of the topic. And I can see where they're getting their inspiration from, where it's based in reality. And I think it's gonna help most people, and people like me, really immerse themselves into the game. Even the sound of the spaceship taking off, like it's not some invented spaceship sound like... It's actually that like crackly, like awesome rocket ship sound. I'm 27. And
You're I'm 27. All right, this reminded me of Barry. If you didn't watch Barry It's amazing. You know what? I'm just gonna play it in the background while I try to find the video.
And as a graphic designer for my real life day job, I absolutely have to call out the amazing user interface and menu design. This stuff looks so clean and functional and simple, while also keeping in line with that retro tech feel. It's just beautiful. Now going back to what I'm unsure.
All right, I think this is it.
So it's a show.
It's an amazing show. If you didn't see it.
So it's a show about 3 women who run a salon in Soho, who are just trying to get by, and they have snakes for hair, and they turn dudes into stone.
Okay.
So right now, the show, it's a little, I don't know. And I think that you, Sally Reed, could bring to it more of a,
I don't know what you mean.
So right now, the show, it's more, yeah. And you could bring it to more of a, yeah.
I think I know what you're saying. I have a client right now that's bringing
Yeah.
to a Fox show that before was just,
So we're looking for less and more.
that actually wasn't in the email. Sally doesn't do, she does, yeah, she does, no. And she'll do like,
Okay, I understand. So instead of, it's more.
So yeah, it reminded me of this.
Sure about. Let's talk about the story. In past Bethesda titles, I feel like the story has been an easy sell. Skyrim was about being the chosen dragonborn, saving the world from evil dragons. Fallout 3 was about leaving a bomb shelter into post-apocalyptic America in order to find your daddy. Fallout 76 was about getting mad at Bethesda. And StarField is about exploring, space exploring, and maybe getting Bioshock Plasmid type powers. I don't know.
It may be also getting mad at Bethesda. You never know.
I think you bump your noggin, wake up, talk to a rock, and run into some cheesy space explorers. And that's the first concern I have. I haven't been exactly impressed with who they've shown us so far. You got the classic soldier girl, then you got religious space dork, black woman, bisexual space cowboy, and rich old white guy who's a businessman with a briefcase full of business, who's totally not in it for nefarious reasons and not predictably gonna betray the group, and the group isn't totally gonna wonder what they're gonna do without his money, but then realize that they don't need his money, they just need each other. That's totally not gonna happen, right? So
Sure.
far they've just come off really white bread with perfect intentions, motives, and morals, and no character flaws, and nothing I'm really interested in yet.
I don't know that I've ever really loved anyone except you.
I don't like saying.
But I could be wrong. Maybe these main characters aren't going to be predictable good guys. Maybe they do have dark pasts. Maybe they do have dark secrets that they're hiding from each other. I definitely know the old guy does.
Anything goes as long as you have the money.
I hope they do have deep, interesting flaws, and I hope that you have to make heart-wrenching decisions with them. And to Bethesda's credit, they have a great track record for this kind of stuff.
Hey, is that you?
I did think it was hilarious how everybody in this presentation is really good at talking, even the French guy, until they get to the lead companion designer.
These companions can serve on your crew, and they'll always be there when you travel.
And I get it, not everybody's a good speaker. but I
Is
think it's
this guy an
hilarious that the
NPC? Jesus
And
Christ.
they'll get to the lead companion designer.
These companions can serve on your crew, and they'll always be there when you travel.
And I get it, not everybody's a good speaker, but I think it's hilarious that the guy whose job is to make convincing human-like dialogue is possibly a companion himself. But going back to the main story, I've played a lot of space exploration games. Elite Dangerous, No Man's Sky, Astroneer, Star Citizen, Pulsar. Anybody else Pulsar? No? Just me and my friend Colton. A lot of these games' stories have like a question mark of where you're heading towards in the game. And I've noticed that a lot of the times when I'm playing these games, that question falls short of how long I'll be interested in the game. I'm not saying the story needs to be predictable, but I think the gamer that's playing needs proper incentives and story beats and needs to know what's at stake in order to keep them interested. And my concern comes from Bethesda really stressing how you'll be exploring space and being who you want to be and figuring out the mystery of the universe. And I feel like I'll come off jaded saying this, but like, space exploration for a story sometimes isn't good enough. Taking No Man's Sky, for example, like the main plot of that is finding what's at the center of the universe. And about a couple hours in, I didn't really care. Like, what's at the center of the universe? A big light? Like, is it all Matrix? Is it the Lost ending? I'm sorry, but figuring out the mystery of the universe is just too vague for me. It's like saying you'll find the answer to everything. Like, my brain can't even conjure up an image. It's an empty statement.
It's a total fabrication.
Like in Fallout 3, I had satisfying, guessable endings of how the game would turn out. Am I going to find my father? Is the post-apocalyptic world gonna turn for the better? Am I going to get extremely irradiated and turn into a super mutant and lead an army of them to destroy humanity like I Am Legend? The book. And there were stakes in these games. Like if I didn't defeat Alduin, he'd swallow the world. It's like in StarField, I feel like if you don't figure out the mystery of the universe, humanity's gonna probably just move on. They're just gonna get up in the morning, make their space coffee, and go about their day. But here's the flip side. I think this talking rock might be good enough. The characters interested in the rock have not convinced me yet, but becoming a space god with telekinetic gravity powers is pretty sick to me. Or maybe The Rock wants to destroy the universe.
It is.
I don't know yet. I haven't met The Rock. Outside the main story, I know I'm going to meet interesting characters in StarField. I'm super pumped to discover all the factions in the game and who I'm going to align with. And I know there's going to be fun side quests that I'm constantly taking up with a lot of integral choices to be made. One of the speakers really hit the nail on the head describing what Bethesda games are good at. Going to strange new places, meeting interesting people, and getting sidetracked on zany adventures. Now let's talk about where I am disappointed in StarField so far. The graphics. And of course, I'm not a guy that needs graphics to be great.
They're not
for
bad.
a game to be great. My favorite game right now is Voidigo, and it's a 2D pixel roguelike. Shout out roguelikes. What's upsetting to me is I expect more from Bethesda. Much more. They've got literally billions.
Like compared to Ubi's new game, Star Wars Outlaws, that we watched a couple of streams ago. Like, Ubi's games are, like, they just look better, right? But this is not bad at all.
Behind them, and they've got basically unlimited game development time. Like, I'm not saying I was expecting Bethesda to make their game look a lot better, but it is like...
Although, it's just like what we're seeing, like, it's just from trailers and from their, like, showcases and all of that. The final product may differ from what we see on the screen right now.
That released 10 years ago. And I know people are going to be like, but the game is huge. I know. The game is massive, and I absolutely don't know about mathematical processes are happening behind closed doors. I do know that consoles are only going to be able to play it at 30 frames per second, which sounds like hell. Of course, I'm not a console player, thank God. But this was the perfect time.
He's lying. He has a gamepad. He has a PlayStation 2 gamepad here. You can't even see it because of my my face.
I do know that consoles
trust
are
me, he has a gamepad on his
which sounds like hell. Of course, I'm not a console player, thank God.
Oh,
But this was the perfect time for Bethesda with a brand new IP to just really wow us with a step up in graphics. Raise your hand if you were also bummed when you found out years ago that they were going to continue to use the creation engine. Like, imagine if this game looked remotely close to Red Dead 2's graphics, which by the way came out 5 years ago. Imagine if you actually saw your footprints
and still
in the
looks
snow and the
fucking
sand.
amazing.
Imagine if characters didn't look like mannequins.
Yeah, the environment and the ships are great, but the faces are just
crazy
bad.
eyeballs. Imagine if creatures didn't sporadically move across uneven terrain. Imagine if you couldn't immediately tell that this was a video game at first glance.
Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that blow your fucking mind? I posted this picture on my Instagram. Like, look at this scene. Look at how behind the times this looks. What is this, Sims 3?
I just think if you're trying to immerse gamers into
True.
your universe, especially where characters and dialogues are such major parts of your gameplay, you'd try a little harder to make things look more visually believable. Speaking of, let's talk about people in particular. The people in this game look marginally better. I feel like this has been getting a lot of praise. I disagree. They look...
I tried it. I don't like it, honestly.
A little better. They clearly added more like facial movement, but it's all so sporadic and weirdly timed. It looks exactly like the real-life Sophia robot, the one that talks to Will Smith and stuff. Look at this character they show that's bragging about how charismatic he is, while simultaneously...
Look at the textures and the detail on his armor or whatever, like spacesuit and all of that. And then look at the face. Why is the face so fucking bad when you have all these textures and all of that? Although they did add moisture to the eyes, like some other company that I know of. I'm talking about CAG and Star Citizen.
This character they show that's bragging about how charismatic he is while simultaneously failing the Turing test.
You know what I hate about these pirates? Completely resistant to my otherwise irresistible charm.
My brain is...
Also, the mocap is trash. Look at this.
Charismatic he is while simultaneously failing the Turing test.
Like, who would ever talk like, do you know what I hate about these pirates? Like, who would do this with his hands trying to ask you something? How are you? What's the time? Like, what the fuck?
You know what I hate about these pirates? Completely resistant to my otherwise irresistible...
It's such early 2000s mocap kind of a thing. Chris Roberts would. Yeah.
Charm.
Actually,
My
yeah.
brain is doing somersaults through an obstacle course of the uncanny valley while looking at these people. And if they're not directly talking to you, they still look as lifeless as Mr. Handy. Look at this guy shooting a gun in combat. How hard is it for an animator just to furrow the eyebrow when they're animating or grit the teeth when they get shot? Don't be fooled, by the way. They clearly have some hand-animated scenes through the direct where
He
people
must
look great.
be Italian.
And 3 minutes later, you're gonna talk
Not even Italians talk like that. What are you saying?
to them and they're gonna go right back to their robot selves. There's something about these eyes that makes these characters look so crazy. Like they're showing too much white above the iris, or they're resting out.
Like these eyes are just Jesus
Eyelids look
Christ.
like they're going through a Clockwork Orange torture scene. Along with the adjustments to people, there's also a new character creator, which
So
from
true.
a UI perspective and how in depth it goes, it looks great.
I'm the type of person who spends hours in character creation.
Sir, I too am the annoying friend who spends hours in character customization while my friends wait in the lobby. But again, with these characters, like, that's the smile that you show off? That's terrifying.
Look at the beard. The beard
But
is
again, with
just
these
like...
characters, like, that's the smile
What is this? It's like a child fucking drew it on, honestly.
that you show off? That's terrifying.
It's a lot.
Also, the beards look like crap. Again, why does this guy look like his beard got put on like a Wooly Willy character? Like if you tilted the screen, the hair is just gonna fall off. When Skyrim came out after Oblivion, graphically, it really was on another level. And the world was just so big and
True.
beautiful. Back in 2011, it was one of the best looking games I'd played. But in 2023, StarField and Bethesda games are really falling behind. Like when I played The Last of Us 2, that was next level.
There you go.
Graphically and player movement, not so much on the story front, but I remember riding the horse through the fields and the forest and the grass and being like,
Yep.
I don't think anything is gonna look better than this for a while.
Also, he lied about consoles because you can only play this on
And
console,
with
but sure.
Starfield, I'm like, things have looked better than this for a while. But now that I've got my major qualms out of the way, let's talk about what I think the experience of Starfield is going to be. And this
Look,
might be
it's okay for a fucking 2010 game. Also, as somebody said, I don't care about the graphics. I want gameplay. For me, fucking Uno beats Star Citizen any day. Like, if I'm just gonna chill with a friend, I will fucking play Uno before I would play Star Citizen, honestly. Like, I don't care about the fucking graphics. I care about the gameplay, and I care about the fun, right? But also, like, it's a new game that's about to get released, and, like, you would expect more from Bethesda, right?
a little bit more rapid fire all over the place.
It's
Now,
not
you may
that
believe
bad,
me
but
when I
it's...
say this, but I am excited for Starfield. I'm not saying
not
that
that
it's
good
going to
either.
meet every expectation of mine, but there's something, and I am really struggling to put my finger on it, but there's like a magic of Bethesda games that I'm really looking forward to. I can't wait to turn off all the lights, lock myself in this room, crank the volume, and just get lost in Bethesda's new space war, or galaxy, whatever. I specifically say crank the volume because, oh my gosh, that soundtrack is
It's
gonna just
amazing.
run goosebumps through my freaking entire
Hopefully there's more than, like, that one track that we heard.
body over and over again. They have struck gold, my friends. Again. Literally every Spotify rap every year, my #1 thing is like Skyrim soundtrack that I constantly have on, especially when I sleep. I think the ship customization looks awesome. They went full Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts on it. I like that there's like differentiation between the ships, like a
Yep.
small one that's like
This
more
is
of a
really
bounty
good.
hunter ship and a large one for smuggling
This is the best
cargo.
thing
There's
about
this lady who
Starfield,
likes to
honestly.
make animals with their ships.
I make them look like animals. The HMS Platypus, as I called it.
Oh my gosh, he's so quirky. I hope you can customize your companions based on circumstances because I am 100%.
You know what? Also, hopefully the companions or whatever NPCs can go through the, like, roam through the ship. Because the ships are going to be modular, right? So they need to have some sort of a mesh to know where to go, what to do, and all that.
% not cool with this guy wearing a cowboy hat in the spaceship.
If they're just gonna be like sitting at their outposts all of the time, it's gonna be like, it gets stale and boring.
Your hat at the door. You got me, Huckleberry? The space combat and the fact that you can board other spaceships is awesome. Really wish there was co-op in the game for moments like this, and by moments I mean the entire game. Thinking about having a friend with me in a small spaceship of his own flying around my large spaceship that's full of cargo that we've gotten from other ships that we've destroyed and boarded and killed together sounds like incredible untapped potential, but maybe I'm alone on that. They actually talk about decorating quite a lot in this presentation outside of your spaceship, like with bases and outposts, and I don't really get this. I do understand it in a lot of games, and I like decorating. My mom is an interior designer. I love my mommy. But with games like Animal Crossing, you're in the same place a lot of the time. I mean, that's what the whole game is about, is like decorating your island. And in a game like Subnautica, that's a survival kind of horror game, you want a cozy base to come home to, and you're gonna be going into that base all...
See, I never understood having... And I'm gonna be a weird guy now, honestly. I never understood, like, base building in a single player game. Why would you even care? Like, resource gathering, blah blah blah, base building and all of that. And why am I being weird is because then I play Space Engineers, but I play it in single player mode because I want to build big spaceships and all of that. So it's kind of weird for me. Like, again, back to like DayZ, because I tend to talk about DayZ a lot. That base building in that game is like, you don't have to do it, but you should probably have a base, just like not for everything, just to like rearm yourself and all of that. So you can have like a bunch of like guns, good guns stashed, and that's it. It's for creativity. Yeah, look, it's completely understandable. I get it. I like it, but also I don't see the point. I would love this to be what I'm saying is that I would love this to be a multiplayer game.
All the time.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
want things in proper order. But in a game like StarField, where it's not multiplayer, so nobody else is going to see it, and you also have hundreds of other planets to explore, I feel like you're going to be making these outposts, setting an NPC, and then hitting the road. It just seems a little redundant to me. Like, knowing myself, I'm probably only going to go for function, because this is exactly how it went in Fallout 4. I didn't care about my base at all. And in Skyrim, my base was a fucking barrel and river run. And unless you're like a screenshot enthusiast, like this lady who likes taking rockstar photos, she's so crazy, I don't really see his point in spending hours and hours on it. And in general, they just harp on expressing yourself so much in this game, and it's like, oh great, a single player game where I can express myself to myself. Of course, in StarField, you'll also be visiting a ton of new locations.
I guess you can like share screenshots of your bases on Reddit or whatever. So yeah.
I hope that the environments are going to be super varied and interesting, and seeing a ton of new creatures. And the space stations look really cool, and so do the cities. They've only shown a few cities, and this has me slightly concerned. Like, I hope that there's just more than New Atlantis, the Cowboy Town, and Night City without cars. I mean, with a game that's boasting of thousands of planets, we've only seen 3 cities. The gunplay in this direct looked 100 times better than the 15-minute gameplay one. I've heard they've
I'm telling you right now, it's probably going to be like up to 5 points of interest, like cities, and that's it. And then you have 995 planets.
With the id team on fixing this up, and that is a lie. They apparently were helping them with like the graphics side of things, actually. To quote, they helped them add in motion blur. But yeah, the combat looks really great, and like shooting people actually looked like it was making an impact on them, and unlocking stuff in the skill tree looked...
Still, the fuck is this recoil on the
They
shotgun?
apparently were helping them with like the graphics side of things, actually. To quote, they helped them add in motion blur.
Come on.
But yeah,
look at the recoil on this shotty.
That looked really great, and like shooting people actually looked like it was making an impact on them, and unlocking stuff in the skill tree looked really satisfying. Although I will say
I don't like the
gunplay
gunplay
boost
still.
pack is like an available skill to unlock, and it's not like default. Like who is not going to immediately unlock that? I really love that they showed how certain bullet types are going to affect your player movement in zero gravity, and the guns themselves look so great.
That's cool.
I also just love the variation, like all like the wood customizations. I think that pairs so well with the NASA punk aesthetic. In classic Bethesda fashion, there's also a ton of different ways to play the game. You know, I'm probably going to be guns blazing, but this girl likes to walk around.
I still hate the screen clutter with like all the XP and like health bars and all of that. Like, we don't need
guns
that.
blazing, but this girl likes to walk around and pickpocket people, which I feel like I've done like twice in these games, like to steal a key for a quest or something. Other than that, just taking like 2 septims off a guard. But speaking of stealing, get a kick out of this girl. She likes stealing sandwiches. She's somebody lock her up. She is so silly.
What's up, puppeteer?
But no, she seems sweet. I think the new alien life looks wild, which I'm a huge fan of, and it doesn't look like there's any signs of advanced intelligent life yet. I would not be surprised if there's a really cool reveal of aliens in the game, or at least some crazy side quest.
Oh,
like
there's gonna be a
Potato
DLC and you know it.
I mean, my heart's beating, my hands are shaking. My hands are shaking, but I'm still shooting. And I'm still getting the headshots. It's like, boom, headshot, boom, headshot.
And I've been going through the footage of StarField stuff like crazy. Like I've watched this direct like literally 5 times like straight through in order to write this video. And what's funny is when I was looking back at the 15-minute gameplay presentation, my favorite still of the game was this. First of all, the color composition is just immaculate.
Yeah, this is really good.
The reason is, this is what I expect from Bethesda. I'm so pumped to like constantly stumble upon interesting things like this. One of my favorite aspects of Bethesda games is having a waypoint that you need to go to and having a ton of uncharted territory in front of you. You have no idea what you're going to run into. It's just a giant question mark. Like maybe it's gonna be a smooth ride, or maybe it's gonna be an evil robot factory, or maybe there's gonna be a space grocery store with a ton of bandits, or maybe there's gonna be a cave full of gun-wielding children.
Don't take another step or we'll blow your fucking head off.
I think this is going to be where StarField really impresses us. And the last line of the direct I thought was an interesting one, especially after saying what I've thought about the presentation so far.
It's what you've come to expect from a Bethesda title, but on a much bigger scale.
And I think that's accurate, in a partially underwhelming way, but also in a nostalgically lovable way. Honestly, I really do miss being blown away by Bethesda, but I think StarField was like a great start to a new IP. I'm excited.
We still need to see it though.
For what's to come. I'm excited for the modding potential in the future. I'm not excited about whatever mods Bethesda tries to push on us for money, and I'm excited to see what you guys think of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to my channel if you guys like the video. I think we're about to hit 200,000 subscribers, which is...
Is that how it works? Is that how Bethesda like pushes out mods? You gotta pay for them? Really? I never played a modded Bethesda game, honestly.
Insane to me. I don't know, I never thought my channel was gonna like pick up in views and stuff. I just can't believe it's gone this far, and you guys
I'm gonna pick it up like immediately when it gets released, so I can tell you honestly and like show you how it looks like.
Conflicting with mine. I like the discussion, and I appreciate it. So thank you for watching. If you feel generous enough, I have a Patreon too, but go check that out, whatever. All right, thanks guys.
It's a good video. There we go. A really good video. I liked it. It's really like funny and witty. So they released it as DLCs. Amazing.